And as always, we're going to be looking for accurate context, good risk management, and always exercising good patience.
Everybody who's traded has gone through periods of time where their strategy hasn't worked.
Where if not a hard stop, you should reevaluate the trades you're in based on time.
That's what we're here for, is to put ourselves in the best success. A trading routine does that, builds that habit, lets you know what to work on, what to reflect on, and what to improve on the next day.
All right.
Thank you, Garrett.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Coach's Playbook. It is Tuesday, the 27th, still in June. We got smoke coming in over Chicago. Ominous, but the markets are good. Today, we're talking about how to find your trading educator, which is a real important topic that we obviously care quite a bit about here. But first, Mick, you got a shout out for us today?
I do. Big shout out to Fernando Villalobos, up about 4,600, 4,700 in his account. Big account balance in this XFA, a little over 17,000. He's already taken a payout, and he's doing pretty well in a couple of his other accounts. He's leveraging the multiple funded accounts we offer. So he's got about 10K in those other accounts now too.
Wow.
Each of them. So
good
big account balance for him.
Good for him. So yeah. Dan, you always pick on me when I don't go to you. This is your topic today. Why don't you lead us off with your feelings on picking your trading educator?
Absolutely. So I think, there's so much phenomenal information out there when it comes to trading and education. You go back in the day, you had to be in the pit or you had to be around the people, basically in Chicago or in New York to learn and get educated. Now it is at our disposal right here on YouTube, looking at things like we're doing right now. There's so much phenomenal information out there, and there are some amazing educators. And I think it's really important, when you look at an educator, you need to find someone that connects to the style of trading you're looking for. And to do that, you first have to understand a little bit about yourself as a trader. You have to understand the differences that you're going to see in those educators, and your style. The appetite for risk. I think that's a big one you want to think about. You want to think about the products you're trading. You see someone maybe trading gold. Are you a gold trader? Is that a product that really interests you? Or more, you're thinking more equities? Really finding that person. It's going to help teach you, guide you, and show you new ways to view the market. And I think that's the biggest thing. They're going to show different ways to look at stuff. You want to take the information you learn from these educators and find ways to apply it to your own system. You don't want to just completely copy what they're doing, because I've said this before and I'll continue to say it again. Hogue and myself, or Jack and Mick, we can all look at the exact same price, enter into the same exact trade. Some may be long, some may be short. Everyone could make money. One person could make money, three could lose. Everyone has a different outcome when it comes to taking a trade. So we can sit here and say, I really like this level. I think I want to trade this level. Someone else may say, that you're watching or you follow and saying, I really like this trade. I want to trade this level. I'm going to take this position. Just because they're taking that position, you need to ask yourself, does this fit within my own system? And if it doesn't, and you like the setup or you like that style of trade, find ways to fit that within your own system. Remember, again, it all falls down to me, that appetite for risk. And just because you may say, well, I'm willing to risk $1,000 in a day, or I'm willing to risk $250 in a trade, you got to ask yourself, does entering this trade fit within my own risk parameters? Just because someone else says it's a good trade doesn't mean it may work for you. Now, sometimes it may be a perfect setup based off of your own strategy and system, and you are thinking on the same page to get in, but maybe those exits are going to be different. So there's a lot of factors you really, really want to think about when you are looking at educators out there. And like I said, there are some great educators out there. I think they do a phenomenal job. I give them credit. They are out streaming all the time. They're keeping things engaging. And especially, this industry that we're all kind of sitting at home, working in a silo kind of by ourselves. It's really nice to have that community, but you always want to think about, is this style or this strategy working in a way that fits the way I want to trade? And I think it's super important to think about those things.
You mentioned something there. I think there's definitely a happy medium between entertainment and education. Ideally, they should intersect. I'm not saying you got to go out and, read. I always point to the boring Treasury bond basis book over there. I mean, some of that's good. I would maybe start with the resources they have on the CME just to get your bearing. But, be aware if things are striving too much into entertainment or purely lifestyle or something like that. That's fine. Watch it, but know what it is, right? Like, my wife watches a ton of Bravo all the time. So I'm familiar with sort of comfort television playing in the background. But definitely, look at things with an inquisitive eye. Hogue, you do a lot of educating traders. I mean, pretty much all day. What have you sort of noticed when you're taking on people or the type of people that are working with you?
Well, as somebody who does, some teaching, it's always helpful when somebody who's kind of learning from you already has a kind of base knowledge. So when you're thinking about getting into trading, do plenty of research, get to know different, ways of looking at markets, whether it's technical analysis, market profile. Learn as much as you can on your own to give yourself a leg up for when you actually find a tutor or a mentor that you like. And any good mentor or tutor or anybody on YouTube, anybody that you're watching, if they're taking trades and not explaining why, that's something you want to be kind of leery of, because you want to learn from them. You don't want to just take their trades, right? And when you are learning things from a mentor or teacher or whatever it is, you got to kind of make it your own. We've always said, and everybody always says, if you had a strategy that you could hand to 100 people, and they're all going to get different outcomes because their belief system, their reasons, their motivations, they're all different. So you're all going to get different results from a proven strategy. And most of them probably aren't going to succeed in it because they're optimizing it. They're adding in what they think or what they feel. There isn't a mentor or teacher out there that can hand you success in trading. When it comes down to it, you can learn a lot from them. There's lots of different ways to look at markets. And the way that you're going to find success is, again, by making it your own, learning from, taking bits and pieces from the people that you work with, actually listening to them, and when they give you action items, actually do them. I learned a long time ago from a mentor that I wasn't doing one of the exercises that he was giving me, and it almost cost me the ability to work with him, because he was like, okay, you're not doing what I'm asking. You're paying me. You're wasting your money, you're wasting your time, and you're wasting my time. So we're either going to do this all the way, or we're not going to do it at all. So I finally, said, okay, let's do this. And I ended up learning a lot from the exercise that he was teaching me. So, you can learn from just about anybody. There's good things that you can learn from people. There's bad things you can learn from people as well. There's nobody that knows everything. I certainly don't. But what I do know, I'm going to teach, and I'm going to hope that you're going to be able to use that information to your best advantage. And that's the goal. I tell people, there's nothing I can do. There's no button I can push. There's nothing I can say that's going to create success in trading for you. It's 100% on you to take the information that you're learning every day from the markets, from me, from everybody else, or in anything else, to make it your own, to help you create the success that you're looking for in trading. Yeah. Nobody can do it for you, but you can get a lot of help along the way up.
I think you're right on that. Really, you're looking for someone to teach you the methods, right? How to do something, not just physically how to do it. Because once again, if somebody had a strategy that could be put into if-then statements and was profitable, that is a very valuable algorithm they have created that they're not going to share with anyone because that's the way the industry works. But you can learn the methods along the way. Before I go over the Mick, I saw a question in the comments about if there's any certifications that can help. All those things are tricky with trading, especially because it's not like any other job where you see online the qualifications are you have to have a bachelor's degree or your real estate license or something like that, because none of it really matters. It's do you know the stuff or not, whether you went to Harvard or dropped out of culinary school. Had a few traders like that along the way. Worked with both guys who went to Harvard, line cooks, and it didn't really matter. It's kind of how you digest it. I don't know if you guys know. I'll hand it over to Mick next, and you can gladly change the topic. But if there's any certifications, or we could give resources.
There's like CTAs, certified trading analysts. There's chartered market technicians, and they can read charts like anybody. There are a lot of people on the trading floor that used to sell their analysis, but they couldn't trade their way out of a paper bag. You can be an excellent market technician, but still not be able to pull the trigger and trade. When there's risk on, it's a whole different game.
There's a lot of full-time quants, for instance, that aren't actually traders. So Mick, go ahead.
I agree. Do we still have the Funded Trader certificates here at Topstep? That was a certification if you pass the trading combine. It shows you that you've got something John's got one in the background there. Other than the ones mentioned already, CTA is a big thing though, but something lower than the commodity trading advisor, the CTA certification, would be your Series 3 registered futures broker. It's going to, even if you don't acquire it via the testing, picking up the study guide for it and reading it is going to give you a better idea of all the ins and outs of the futures markets, producers, users, calculations, contract sizing, all that stuff, regulatory things as well. So I like that a lot. Great stuff from Dan and Hogue here. One thing I think about is what Hogue had mentioned, formulating your own opinion and making sure you're learning from people that are smart out there. There's a lot of smart people out there that are successful in the industry that might look at things different ways. Learn from those people, take a little from here, a little from there, formulate your own opinion. You are going to be best serving yourself if you are learning things that will help you sustain and maintain on your own. You don't always want to be dependent on someone. There might be someone that you're following their trades or something, and they get hit by a bus or something like that. They're not there anymore. What are you going to do now? Also, with following people's trades, another thing Hogue said is make sure that they're explaining why they got into something. It's very important. If you're following someone, you don't want to blindly follow them. You need them to be framing things out. You don't want to be the guy who, buys an S&P contract because someone you're listening to, talking to, or watching is saying, oh, we're going long here. Well, why are we going long here? Give me a reason and explain why we're doing this. What's our downside risk? What are we looking for? It needs to be framed out. And you should be doing that with all your trades. You should never put a trade on without knowing where you're out if you're wrong, where you're out if you're right, that kind of thing. And then as far as following other people, mentoring, coaching, do vet out these people very well. I mean, if you're going to be taking someone's advice, you want to make sure you're getting good advice, because we're talking about trading futures, leveraged risk, and, your money's on the line. If someone might be trading a simulated account out there and you're trading a live account of your own money, they've got nothing to lose. You've got something to lose. So do vet it out and be skeptical about people. I mean, we're talking internet. There's a lot of snake oil out there. People will make false promises of, X, Y, and Z, and, make sure you're following and working with people that are honest. And, I also think about the coaching, following these settings, a chat room where it's one moderator or, a couple people, with a bunch of followers. you might not get the same attention you would get with one-on-one coaching or a mentor. A few years into my trading, had invested pretty heavily into working with a mentor. We were one-on-one. It wasn't more so about talking about direction. It was about risk management and finding a strategy that worked, following trends. You might have people that can coach you or mentor you on certain analysis or whatnot. I liked the risk management thing because no matter what the strategy was, if you can manage the money or manage the risk, that's the biggest piece of this trading business. It is the money management business. So, I mean, I think that's kind of what I have on the topic there.
Yeah, I totally agree with
I
you.
was just going to add one thing too that I think it's really important to note. I think everyone in this room has had some pretty phenomenal mentorship, some pretty great traders they've worked with. I know for a fact we've all been through a system. We've worked with people. We've seen how they trade. They may have been insanely successful. I'll speak for myself. I was very fortunate with the mentorship I had in the trading world. I kind of walked into it in a very fortunate light, working for my dad, who was pretty darn good at this. And I can promise you, even though he has tried to teach me everything he knows, I can't replicate his success. The markets change, the environment changes, the evolution changes. He could sit there and take a risk that would make me sick to my stomach, if I tried to do that in my own trading. And, those are the differences that, like, just because you can see and do, potentially even replicate something to that great success does not mean you're going to be able to find that same success, because there's, more than just the analysis, more than just the execution, but the psychological piece to this. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Trading is 10% trading, 90% emotional. There's so much that goes into it that we can't replicate the same emotions that I can't replicate Hogue, Mick, or Jack, or anyone else I've ever worked with. And I don't think people can replicate my own emotions when we're trading.
Yeah, I'm happy you brought up the psychological piece. That's a huge part of traders' development. And one thing that came back to me was behind every successful trader is a lot of hard work. Nobody's got the magic potion. Traders can have lucky days, lucky weeks, lucky months, and lucky years. But over time, say a 10-year trading career, anybody who's successful over a 10-year window is putting in a lot of hard work and study. And they're not just going out there and shooting their shot day in and day out.
Yeah, that's a good point there, Mick. I think that it's as we're talking
Jack, you got really quiet on us.
We've had all this problem with the audio behind the scenes. Sorry about that, guys. Can you hear me now?
Still quiet.
Really quiet.
How about now?
Better.
A little better.
Okay, I'll probably get painfully loud at some point, so prepare, viewers. So what I was going to say there before my volume became the issue is that when you're working with a mentor, or just if you have other traders you trust, I think people are surprisingly more open than you think to explaining their why. And one of my regrets from when I was trading professionally is not spending more time asking people who I knew were good traders why they were doing something, especially if it was different than what most people on the P&L monitors were doing. Yeah. And you know what? If someone asked me while I'm trading the why, I love that for two reasons. A, I love to talk. And B, sometimes I'm probably trading without knowing the why. And then I have to make something up.
Yeah, if they can't give you the why, run away.
And I think, too, one thing to add that's really great about a lot of the trading education out there, the community. The nice part is if it's YouTube, right, you've got the live chat. I can see people commenting. I have, back in the day, if you guys recall, I used to do it. I used to be on here every day, and the conversation that would happen and questions would come in. Other people were able to help answer those questions. Like, the community aspect is such a phenomenal thing because you can brainstorm ideas, you can share your opinion, and you can get diverse perspective on that. I think like that to me is one of the most important things in trading. We can get the blinders on. I can be very dead set. I'm a very active crude trader. I watch crude all day, every day. I'm pretty engaged with the crude oil market. And I can tell you for a fact, there are times that my blinders come out and I'm missing something because I'm so focused, micro-focused on a key level to get hit, or something that's going on in, geopolitically, and I'm forgetting about this other aspect. And being able to have that community perspective, that to me is what is so phenomenal. I mean, I can't tell you enough, like seeing the chats and the conversation be, the Facebook or the YouTubes, the Discords. Yeah, you're going to get some, riffraff out there.
It's the internet.
But there's so much great information.
Yeah. Dan, one thing I love about the communities too is a lot of traders, as we are sitting in our own office, our own, house doing this alone, those communities are where people will talk about some of their failures. And like in any business with trading, there's a lot to learn from people's failures. I know smart, successful business people outside of trading will say some of the best things that I learned from other people in industry or in business is hearing about where they failed and where they went wrong. There's a lot to take away from that. One, you can make sure that you don't replicate that mistake. But if you're hearing that from a whole community of people, it's very helpful. And in those communities, people want to share a little bit of their, their misery. So if you're following someone, make sure they're talking to you about things that they've done wrong or mistakes that they've made. You've heard it from me before. I've kind of made my trading strategy or what I do when I'm participating based off of things that didn't work for me over the past X amount of years.
Yeah, sometimes I think that I didn't learn a ton when things were going really well. It was great feeling. Doesn't last all the time.
Yeah, what you learn is what's working for you right now is working for you right now. But as market environments change and things change, that might not work.
Exactly.
I do apologize for whoever is hearing the train. I do live next to a train track. I didn't think you guys could hear it.
Sounds like an old-timey steam engine or something coming in there, Dan.
There's a bend on the train track outside my window, and every so often the wheels squeal and you hear it. Normally, I don't even notice it. It's not that often, but there's a freight train
coming through.
Just one more reason to move back to Chicago, Dan.
Yeah, no trains here. So, any final thoughts on this? Or, Dan, you got a quote for us?
One final thought. I think it's, venture out, experience the education. I don't want to ever say, one is better than the next, because they all can work for you. There is some great education, even if it's like Mick just said, learning from the failures that they've had, or looking into their success and how do I apply that to my own self.
Yeah, ask for, when you're talking to people about those failures, ask for takeaways. They said that this happened to them. What's your takeaway? What was your learning from this?
Yeah, go out and ask why, everybody. That's the key.
I do have a kind of a quote here today.
Kind of a quote.
Kind of a quote, because my thinking behind this really had to do with, you got to understand yourself before you're really able to work with that mentor or find that educator that's going to work best for you. I was in the Marine Corps, and we have, when you go through a leadership program and as you get promoted into leadership positions, you have to memorize the 11 leadership principles of the Marine Corps. And my favorite one that I think about almost every day in a lot of aspects of my life is know yourself and seek self-improvement. You got to better understand yourself before you can help others around you, know where your problems are so that you can educate yourself for those.
Well, thanks for that, Dan. Hope everyone's doing well. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll let Hogue send us away while I go over to the production box.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Dick. And in kind of the theme that Dan was just talking about is any mentor, anybody that's teaching you is going to be that's worth their while, is going to be extremely happy to see every step of success you reach. And when you reach that, then it's time for you to teach somebody else. It's one of the best things you can do as a trader is, if you do become profitable, successful, whatever that means, help somebody else.
Well put, Hogue. We'll see you next week. Trade well, everybody.